I think of these as the crisis questions. We only have the breath in this present moment, not one for last Wednesday or for next week. So, where were we? Well, this was 72 years ago, and this was last week. Not a right lot has changed.
Well, at least I changed my shirt this week. So, the question I'm interested in is, where have we come from? How did we get into this mess? But picking up the threads from last time, time, So, we have been exploring the movements that make up the very venerable, and not say even noble, Indian ancient gesture, Namaste. I still haven't found out what the syllables mean, but it's got a noble aspiration, and the aspiration is to communicate the best in me to the best in you. So here we go, Namaste. So we looked at it, started to take it apart, the arms lift, the elbows are nice and loose, move from side to side, and the hands come together in the midline. And all we did with the action is actually to bring it through a process of very playful, improvised energy. And I like to think about that as something that comes from the ground up. The ground is where the stillness is, so even though there's this movement going on, there's still a kind of core of stillness, which is part of the mystery of rhythm. So, we're coming from the bottom up, and you'll know right away if you come from the top down, because the rhythm that was so freeing and liberating and fun, suddenly kind of jams you up like a spanner in the works. And it's a really good way of kind of establishing a kind of top-down processing in a bottom-up or ground-up. The energy, a very creative, playful energy, in which everything is accepted, there's no expectation, no expectations. What happens, happens. What doesn't happen, doesn't happen. I think it's a lovely idea to think about a communal space of emptiness, which I'm going to call Freedom Hall. Hallelujah. Time. Oh, and whatever enters the space enters the space. Whatever doesn't enter the space, some things can happen. And it's fine if something doesn't happen, because it doesn't matter. What matters is just playing with the energy. So the other thing that we did is take this everyday arm reach and take one routine daily example of it and ease it off automatic pilot. Now, the important thing to bear in mind in that, if you've been going along with the discipline, is that in this instance, what's being asked of you is taking not any extra time from you, because you're doing it anyway. And if you're doing it anyway, why not do it in a way that feels good? So not extra time, but demanding of you the extra attention. So what you're about to see is, sit back and relax and just enjoy this little presentation of that kind of bottom-up energy, the spirit of that bottom-up energy as it plays out in the communication through gesture, through the arm and shoulder movements, how it communicates human emotion.
And you want it back?
What?
Take it away! They took it away?
What did I do with it?
So never again. Daddy never take a picture from me. So look at my shoulder. You want your soda back? Yes.
How freely the little hands, arms and shoulders convey the intensity of
Soda, I
emotion.
thought it was my soda.
Wait, what? Holy crap! Yeah, no.
What?
So you never get my soda back. Mom, never. Daddy never get my soda back.
Daddy never gave your soda back?
Yes.
Oh. Probably because it's too late for
So
soda.
get that soda on the plated table. So there's no dog. There's no dog and that's my soda. You know what?
We learn to put together a reach and grasp movement very early on in infancy, way before we learn to stand and take our first step. There are 4 distinct parts. There's the opening of the hands, there's the reaching out, and there's the closing of the hands and fingers and the return to mouth. This youngster has got the opening of her hands, but not the reaching out part of the sequence. When we're learning to coordinate these actions, it takes all of the neural processing power. We're totally embodied. Our attention is fully present and totally engaged. Huge gains are made almost by the day. Yeah! Now, I might not quite have mastered this standing business, but I'm going to rearrange this world with these wonderful hands. Watch this lovely open-handed reach. Whoa! And then we're not leaping many months forward to this. It might not yet have a lot of structure, but it's certainly got the spirit of that from the bottom up energy.
Yo, I'm so red, are you with me?
Oh yeah.
Who got the funk we ain't going?
Nowhere.
Are you with me?
Oh yeah.
Who got the funk we ain't going?
Nowhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We people out. We got army. We know the people.
And he's 3 shows in a row he's been cut out of. Jane Mansfield was on one night with Zsa Zsa Gabor, and they inhaled, and we ran over, and he didn't get on that night. Thank you. It's true that I was booked on the show around 3 or 4 weeks ago, and
Watch now these 2 great performers with very different arm and shoulder gestures. One broad, magnanimous and sweeping, and the other, by contrast, small and deprecating. Quite a contrast. The culture that created the Indian Namaste gesture has a very refined and cultured understanding of non-doing, as indeed does the neighbour country of China, from which emerged the Tao Te Ching. My translation of the first line of the Tao Te Ching is the way that can be named is not the way. Beneath words lies an unchanging powerhouse of energy. Think of that little girl earlier who has a limited amount of words but expresses herself like a force of nature. High up there in the Lake District Fells, in the middle of the shot here, lies Scarfell Pike, and close by the summit there is a small lake, or tarn as they're called in this locality. Imagine now a lake on the top of a mountain. Unlike Angle Tarn, this lake has a complex crisscrossing series of watercourses that flow down the side of the mountain. Like irrigation dikes, the flow of the water can be regulated by releasing sluice gates. There are many different channels the water can flow down. Sometimes it flows calmly, like this, and other times it flows with great force and energy. But it always flows effortlessly, using the force of gravity and following the lines of least effort. It never tries to flow uphill. If the water flows into a dead-end channel, it would gently back up to find another flow line. It never considers this a failure, simply a redirection of energy and flow. Would that our leaders in this crisis could apply that non-doing principle from a venerable Chinese tradition. One of my greatest passions is natural movement, and in particular natural running. On all of my courses since 1989 when they began, I've always started a course with an invitation to consider yourself as an expression of a force of nature. When participants take up the invitation, there is a reconnection. That connection involves being fully present. And that's at the heart of the Chinese practice of Tai Chi. Now, I'm not a practitioner, but I love to play with the spirit of Tai Chi, particularly the non-doing spirit. So I've created here a now 9-round breathing routine. You could choose to learn it along with me, or you might find some insight into the way that I break down and learn these moves. This is the basic stance. We're starting from the ground up. Think of positioning your feet at a right angle. Here I'm using a flagstone to achieve this. Now look at the right big toe and the direction that it's looking in. Because when you played the first part of the move, that's the direction that you'll be facing in for the rest of the sequence. So if your weight is evenly distributed, you could think of each leg being half full. And what's going to happen is you're going to transfer your weight over onto the right foot in order to free the left to do that. So we'll run that sequence again. Allow the right hip to flow along the length of the right foot. And as the right leg fills and the left one empties, feel the support and contact underneath the right foot. Immerse yourself in the complex interplay between the ball of the foot and the heel. Just take a look at that start sequence now from the rear view. Weight going over to the right, just up to the point when the left leg is ready to lift. You soften the knees as the hips drop back a little, while at the same time your head eases out, which produces a sense of a dignity of length working throughout the spine. I'm probably the only person on the planet who gets terribly excited about how a human foot lifts off the floor. But there's a moment just before it happens, which is one of those, the point of not quite yet. It's coming up just there before the leg lifts. And that's the point that you want to think of a non-doing releasing length from the ribs there through to the back of the soft knee. That needs to happen before the leg lifts. It's at that point of not quite yet that you're not considering any lifting energy through the leg. It's all flowing outwards. And then the action of the leg lift begins. This will ensure that the action of lifting the leg doesn't pull and distort the integrity of the spine. Obviously, that's going to improve balance and the fine control of these slow movements. This way, the knee stays soft and the arc of travel of the heel is upwards towards the rump. A controlled and flowing release then allows the foot to fall back towards the floor with the toes raised. At the finish of that sequence, your feet are then a shoulder's width apart and parallel. So that leaves us ready for the first of 9 in-breaths as the hands raise up like this. There's another one of those point of not quite yet moments when the shoulders open and the weight of the hands drop before the arms start the lift and the in-breath. Keep the shoulders really loose and open to the elbow. As the shoulders open and the arms begin to lift, the hips drop back and the head eases out. So there's a springy length in the spine. Then on the out breath, as the hands drop downwards, the body rises upwards. Trying to get a sense of the whole back opening to become involved in the lift of the arms and fingers. As you play each aspect of these movements, keep a sense of total embodied attention. So here's the sequence: left to run. That takes you into position for the first breath. Breathe in, moment of suspension at the top, and then breathe out as your body rises up. Here's that key moment of not quite yet to ease up in order to go into the second breath in and breath out. Keep a sense of flowing, relaxed ease throughout all of this. Try and get that so that you're comfortably able to do 3 and then build it up to become a 9-breath routine.
Wonderful little mindfulness exercise this. All you have to do for 1 minute is just keep your mind completely centered. Remember the beatbox that your hands click against, and all you're trying to do for 1 minute is to keep your attention on that tap in the middle. Yeah! And make sure that your mind doesn't wander off into the past or the future. Keep it in time, 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 time. Keep it in time, you own your own time. Keep it in the time you own your own time. Keep it in time. Lose it. Spend time. Get it. Get it. Keep it in time. Keep it in time. You own your own time. Keep it in time. You own your own time. Keep it in time. You own your own time. Keep your own time. Keep it in time. You own your own time. Just keep on. Keep it in time. In the rhythm of your own life. Just keep on. Time.